everything in health is tied together, right? Everything is health and tied together. So we're going to talk about sleeping like a boss lady because let me know who is like, oh my gosh, I need help with my sleep. I am not like, my gosh, because this is the time in our lives there we're having trouble falling asleep, we're having trouble staying asleep. I don't know. You guys put it in the chat. At least drop a number 1 over in the chat if you're like, oh gosh, I wish, right? I wish I could sleep better. What do you guys think? I'm checking the chat. Let's see who's chatting in the chat. Staying asleep. Oh, yeah. I think probably many of us would say if we had to vote, do we have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep? Probably staying asleep would win. Yeah, yeah. And thanks, Brenda, right? You've been sleeping better lately, deeper sleep. I love that. Same. Even me, I find that if I wake up, I'm able to go right back to bed. Where before it might have been like, oh gosh, I kind of feel awake in the middle of the night. Pre-bed routine. Holy cow, that's so good. You need to work on that. She has a question mark. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. And actually, we have a quiz today, you guys. It's going to be super fun. So some of you may not be in a place that you can take the quiz. You're going to have a link to be able to take the quiz whenever. It's not my quiz. I mean, I didn't make the quiz, but it's actually really, really fun. And it might give you permission like, oh, that's why I do this or don't do this. So here we go. Most of you already know me. I already introduced myself yesterday. If you don't know me, if you're brand new to me, I'm a women's longevity expert. I've been in the health and wellness field for 30 years. I'm delighted to share my journey with you guys today. And really, as I tell everyone in my programs, the women I coach, the people in my life is I just want to be the light to share with people that you can live well. You can live with energy and vitality and like we can do this well. So if I'm just one little tiny spark, one tiny little ripple, that maybe I can help make a bigger effect out there. And that's what Heidi and I want. So kind of my story, right, is I really thought, and again, many of you have heard this, that is it really possible to live well and have, vitality and longevity? Because I watched my mom and I watched my friends around me and I really questioned because I saw my grandparents, honestly, kind of just turn into like cranky old people. And especially my grandmas, they were both a little bit, and I love you, grandmas, like they're not with us anymore. But they, especially one of them, wasn't really nice to be around. I'm like, why do you get cranky as you get older? I don't understand what this like joy for life. But what I saw is their thought of getting older was already planted in their mind. And so they just assumed that's what it would be like. And they literally lived out their destiny, right? So my real thing is it possible, ladies? Can we live better than our moms and our grandmas? Is like, yeah. Funny enough, that Jacqueline just was talking about epigenetics. So here we go with a little bit of epigenetics. I'm like, oh, we're going to start with that. Here's the truth. We are in control of our destiny. Our family history does not dictate our future of our health and wellness. So I have a picture here. This is my mom. My mom's going to be 81 in March. My mom has changed over the last 10 years, probably starting after my father had passed away 17 years ago, to take a little bit more control of her health. Can she do better? Of course we can all do better. But she's now taking direction to change where the future could have gone for her. And what I want is to role model for my kids to be able to say, guess what? You can even have a better future than I did, but I need to role model, where I'm going because again, I'm going to be passing this down with, to them and then their kids, right? My grandkids. So it's actually quite interesting. So when we talk epigenetics, and I'm going to go through some of the science, just keeping it very, very light, you guys, is where we can really see is our genes are hardwired. And I think Heidi and I alluded to that a little bit yesterday, and hopefully you're understanding that the genes are just a blueprint, but we now determine the roadmap for the blueprint. And we can take a wrong turn and a bad turn. And part of that is this whole balance of ourselves of where we're letting our body in stress versus rest versus flow, fun, ease, presence. Many of us, drop a 2 in the chat, ladies, like Who feels like they probably have lived a little bit in too much elevated stress in their life? And we're still maybe some of us battling that. I know for me, absolutely, there's been times in my life I was like, oh my gosh. And years ago, I didn't know how to handle it. People weren't talking about stress and burnout. It wasn't a thing, nor was like being present and finding time for yourself. This is a relatively new conversation, even though it's been a conversation for centuries. It kind of fell into us ladies as, women's lib and do it all and take it all on and then what? And now it's like, oh wait, let's back off on all of that. So if we can find this, I'll say balance, homeostasis, doesn't have to be perfect balance, of we will have stressors in our life. But if that tips the scale and we have too much stress, right, then we're living in elevated cortisol, which is going to lead to elevated glucose and insulin. And if we know that and have poor metabolic health, oh my gosh, is it going to lead to disease? Which, of course, directly is going into this accelerated aging, more disease. And then we're like, is this really just getting older? And I think, I don't know, but I think it was Dr. Mark Hyman actually kind of has been coining this inflammaging, is we're just getting inflamed as we're aging with poor metabolic health, leading to disease, and it becomes this cascade. But we have a secret, ladies. We have a beautiful secret called sleep that helps us in this whole reset. So, 3 health habits to go really from exhausted to energized, but all of it, we're talking about sleep. Sleep is the most underrated modality that is a life, it's a life sustaining thing, event, activity, I guess I'll call it, right? That we have to do. Could we get away from not moving our body for a period of time? Yeah. Could we get away from eating? Well, for a very shorter period of time, yes. Could we get away from sleeping? Almost no, you guys. Like we have to sleep. Many of us, I'm sure, have pulled an all-nighter, right? Who out there has pulled an all-nighter? And hopefully it was either in college because you were studying, maybe studying and not partying, but hopefully studying. Or maybe you've pulled an all-nighter when you've had newborns and literally like they're not sleeping and you're up and down and then you're so tired you can't sleep. We've probably been there too. So let's just first think about the power of psychology. The perception of what you think and feel. From coaching so many women, I hear all the time, I'm just not a good sleeper. Like, no, that's just the perception. That's the meaning you're giving it, right? This mindset that we started the day off yesterday is a really, really big factor that influences how we're going to feel, especially in going into sleep. 2 is using your nervous system. We know that we can change our physiology, can change our state, right? You change your nervous system, we calm down. We have nervous system regulation activities. You wake yourself up. You have nervous system activation activities. We can change our state on a dime with activating our physiology. And you can also use your ecology to control your lifestyle, right? Using ecology, but how you interact with the world of your eating, of your sleeping, and it goes back to lifestyle and diet. So sleep is that number 1 lifestyle factor. So here we are. We're going to be focusing on our ecology, using how we interact with the world around us to allow our genes to work fully, especially for somebody like myself. I've got the clock gene, but both with sleeping and eating and back to the circadian rhythm we talked about yesterday, is the sunlight provides a natural gauge for our circadian rhythm in both our sleep and our nutrition. Now, I know many of you guys are like, Kellie, I know all of this, all right? We're going to have some fun with this, so it's okay. We're going to chat everything sleep. We need to have our little sleep kits, okay? Because Chloe mentioned a lot of this yesterday. What occurs with the lack of chronic sleep? So if you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to bed at 1 every morning and you're still getting up at 6, right? That 5 hours, you're like, oh no, I do fine with it. You may feel fine at the moment, but over time, that lack of sleep will lead to increased risk of chronic disease, early dementia, decline in learning, memory, mood disorders, anxiety, depression, difficulty losing weight, trouble maintaining blood sugar, okay? It really is going to struggle with your metabolic health, a rise in blood pressure. These are things we do not see overnight. But when we talk about modalities, free, ladies, like we don't need to go spend thousands of dollars and buy a $10,000 machine, or we don't need to do that. You need to sleep like a boss. You need to become the CEO of your sleep because you can reduce your risks of all of those things and just feeling better by prioritizing sleep. So, the benefits of sleep, here we go. We're going to boost our immune system. We all want to do that. We're going to lower our risk of cancer. We all want to do that. We're going to assist in weight control. Come on, midlife ladies. We all want to do that. We're going to lower our blood pressure. We're going to improve our heart health, right? I mean, you guys, heart disease still for women is like top leading cause of death. We're going to support our athletic performance, just our ability, like Diana was talking about yesterday, to stay physically fit and well as we're aging. We're going to sharpen our brain, our memories, and our learning. And I think every one of us have been like, oh God, where did I put my keys? Where did I put this folder? Right? My husband's like, where did we put the new health insurance thing? I'm like, I swear we said, let's put it here so we don't forget it. And now we're like, it's not here. Where did we put it? Those conversations, does that ring true to you guys? Well, I just know, again, knowing my genes, and even if I didn't know my genes, keeping my memory sharp is top, top, top of mind for me. And of course, balancing our hormones. Again, ladies in midlife, this is again top, 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 balancing our hormones. If you do not sleep and you're throwing all the HRT at yourself, but you're not sleeping well, you can't even use the benefits because your body is not able to balance your hormones, use those neurotransmitters, make the neurotransmitters with the HRT you're giving it. So here we go. Ladies, the bed is for sleep and sex. Bam, done. If you're like listening to podcast in bed, if you're just relaxing in bed during the day, if you're doing other things in bed, if you're eating in bed, if you're just watching TV in bed, no more. The bed is for sleep. The bed is for sex. Your brain needs to know that you're going to lay down and one of two things is happening. So I'm looking over in the chat. Tell me if you guys were laughing as much as I'm laughing right now. I want to know, are you in your bed at all other than those two things? I need to see it. Heidi's like, yes. And Laura's like, nope, nope. I think Heidi was saying yes, like, yes, ma'am. Yep, 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 you guys. This
Yeah, I was agreeing and
yeah.
saying that it's for sleep and sex. Not that I'm doing other things. Like that has to end. We have to have
Yeah.
a dedicated space. Totally agree with you.
Totally agree with you. And this space, for both of these two reasons, right? For sleep and for sex, it does need to be luxurious. It does need to be like fun for sex, but fun for sleep. Like you can't wait to crawl in that cozy bed and get the best night's sleep in the world, or you can't wait to get in bed and like have at it, ladies, right? I don't think we talk about sex enough because throughout our age, it kind of like often with hormone changes and things, maybe it's not as comfortable, maybe we don't like it as much, maybe our drive is lower, but that's not normal. And we can do things about that. But just sleeping alone can also help your libido. When we get into peptides, we're going to talk a little bit more of that too. But through normal basics, we can even boost that. And what I want you guys, this is not a talk on sex, but you'll have better sleep if you're having some sex. And just to let you know, when you start new habits, then you like crave like habits or you stay in those habits. So if any of you have kind of fallen off and you and your partner just really are not having much sex anymore, if you actually start talking to them and having dialogue about like, okay, let's start romanticizing again. Let's start like trying to do this again. Then once you build the muscle and build the habit, then your body goes, oh, well, you haven't been teaching me what to do anymore. I didn't know. Here comes lubrication. Here comes the mind about like, ooh, I want sex. Yeah, let's bring it on. Like we were we're all animals, you guys. We're supposed to actually really have sex. This is something that we don't talk about enough. And I was never one to talk about sex, but I'm realizing it's a topic that we don't talk about. So, if you improve your sleep hygiene, keeping your bed for sleep and sex, you might just find that it's also going to improve your sex life and you might have better sleep. So, yeah. And Laura said, I never had a TV in my room. Absolutely. We're like zero TV in the room. Exactly. I love that, you guys. So, we got to laugh and have fun with all of this, right? Okay, so here's some sleep foundations. We're going to take a quiz here in just a second, but we're going to go through a few of these things. I'm just looking at the time because you know me, I can talk a lot. Okay. And you'll hear me say these preparations. Other people also say some of these preparations of your sleep foundation, right? Is 3, 2, 1. I already alluded to it a little bit yesterday. These are some guidelines. These are not hardcore, but these are guidelines to help you optimize your sleep. Don't eat approximately 3 hours before going to sleep. So if you're going to go to sleep at 10, don't eat, finish eating by 7. If you're going to go to sleep at 11, finish eating around 8. 2 hours before, start to get off anything that makes your brain tick, 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 tick. Work projects, anything anxiety provoking, talking about your finances with your husband, planning a big trip, right? These probably are not the best times to start these new conversations. Occasionally, I have a great idea when we're going to sleep. My husband's like, "Not now, Kelly." I'm like, "Oh yeah, sorry." Zip. um, and then 1 hour, really get off your screens. I will say, I know it seems like over and over and over again, we're talking about screens, screens, screens. Um, we can't talk about it enough. And even for me, I have to make myself, right? Make myself shut it down, turn it off, turn it over, like literally make myself. So create a friendly environment. This is one of the things I think we've all, most of us in our age group, not all of us, right, are done with having little ones in bed with us. Now, some people are like, "Oh no, family living, this is what I do." Whatever you have and this, however you raise your children is totally fine. But now let's talk about our age. It does not behoove you to have your grandkids come sleep with you, right? They need their special place so they feel safe, seen, everything, right? You do not want them in bed with you. You do not want your pets in bed with you. I'm in a fighting battle right now because my 83-pound dog keeps thinking. So now I have like a bed here and I'm trying to literally retrain her. This is our bed. This is your bed because her breathing, the heat, even my husband, like, it doesn't bother me. You cannot have the best deep sleep with extra animals, even people. They're even saying it's better to even sleep alone. I don't encourage that, but I don't know. I mean, you can say what you say. Like, I don't encourage you not to sleep with your partner. But the third thing in creating a friendly environment is clutter. If there's one place in your house that you want to make sure does not have extra clutter, you need it to be your bedroom. It needs to be this masterful, masterpiece, sacred place. So if you find you have a pile of stuff that are like dumping things, no, that is not the place. If you find you're piling extra clothes all the time and so it's just kind of a little bit messy, not the place. Heidi is saying, you guys, the studies show that sleep vacations are healthy. And Heidi, jump in. Tell me more about that. It means sleep, when you say sleep vacations are healthy, like from your partner, or you mean on vacation you get amazing sleep? I don't know, maybe both.
No, yeah, just what you were saying is like sleeping in separate rooms. In Britain, it's like you get married and you go have two rooms. It's like, what? It was one of those phenomena that I thought was so strange. I'm like, because my parents never slept apart and they were always in the same room, yet all their friends all slept apart in different rooms. But when the research shows, was that good? Was that bad? Is it just a British thing or whatever? A lot of the research, and I can't remember the doc's name, but he's really great. And I'll find it and I'll put it in the chat. But his research is showing that actually sleeping away from your partner or having your own room, actually, when you do come together for sex or intimacy, it's much more profound because you do miss it and it's easier to engage and the satisfaction is higher. Take that what you will.
I would 100% agree. And let me, you guys, ladies, like, if you can unmute, please unmute. I want you guys to say, okay, here's the truth. Around this age, I'm not throwing my husband under the bus. This is just real, right? He's snoring a little bit. Like, he mouth breathes a little bit. I can't get him to mouth tape, whatever. Um, he gets up a little bit more in the middle of the night. All of that is disruptive to my sleep. So I'm like, when I travel and sleep in a hotel room by myself, I'm like, oh my God, this is the best ever. So I can see, Heidi. I believe and I think that research is 100% right. And so you have to navigate in your households. Like, are you guys cool with that? You each have your own beds to sleep in. It, but I would say, I think Europe maybe hit something on the head there, Heidi, because all of those extra little things. And I think if we have had children as moms that we trained ourselves to be light sleepers and get up and hear when they're crying, all the things, it's all coming back to me getting older again. That I'm like, oh, do I need some? Right? It's like this conditioning. Oh, he turned over. He got up. What do you need? Are you okay? Like, I mean, I don't know. So,
Yeah.
uh,
The key thing is what you're pointing out is that sleep is so important. If you get better sleep apart from your partner, focus on the sleep. You can always slip into the bed with your partner in the morning or later at night, and do that and then go back and get your rest. But the rest is that important and it's going to make for a better relationship. Again, the studies show is if you get that rest, restorative rest, you're just a happier person. Hormones are going to fire better. So that intimacy, that desire, that libido is going to actually be encouraged by better sleep than forcing it. I don't want to be away from my partner, but he wakes me up every 10 minutes because he turns over.
yeah. And this is what I've done, ladies, and maybe some of you guys want to implement some of these things is no matter what, one, your rooms need to be dark, okay? So if you don't have blackout blinds, then you might want to just make sure you can take your curtains and add little extra hooks so that like the creases of the window, like lights don't come in. Even when it's dark outside, we've had some street lights that we get the street light in, so I want to really block that out. We have in our travel bags, we've got black electrical tape we take everywhere with us that we tear off pieces because there's like, hotel rooms and stuff have like lights everywhere, fire alarm, this, that. Um, Really, as dark as possible. But this is what you can control with your partner. I was like, oh, I don't want to sleep with earplugs. Earplugs has been a game changer for me. A game changer because it blocks out that extra getting up out of bed and or snoring to some degree. So I would highly encourage you guys to have some sort of, earplugs and some sort of eye mask. That will really help you have your own little like cocoon kind of and and not be so disrupting. And then of course, if you need to, there's all sorts of little white noise machines, right? Put on something to block out and then you're kind of in your own space. And definitely lower the temperature. When you guys are going to bed, anywhere between 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit is where we should be sleeping. So we don't even have like our heat doesn't turn on in the middle of the night unless it gets all the way down to like 62. So you need to be in a cooler environment. That might mean winding your bedroom, your whole house temperature down earlier so that by the time you're going to bed, already that temperature is cooler. All right. So, sleep chronotype. This was interesting, and some of you guys are probably familiar with Dr. Michael Bruce, and some of you are not. But in a couple more slides, we're going to take this quiz. This is a free quiz you can take to see, are you a lion? Are you a bear? Are you a dolphin? Are you a wolf? The most common type of sleeper is a bear. 55% of us are bears. I'm a bear. Um, we're going to take this quiz and don't fight your chronotype. If you can follow your circadian rhythm and add your chronotype, you're going to go, oh my gosh, no wonder why being a nurse working nights for me was the worst thing in the world, or whatever that may be, because we all have rhythms. And I'm sure over time, who has said, like, oh, I'm a night owl, or oh, you're the early bird? Heidi, right? Like, you probably always thought, like, oh, I'm the early bird, right?
Uh-huh. Always the early bird from childhood.
From childhood. Anybody else out there, would you say that you were called the early bird or the night owl? Erica says the night owl here. Yep. And so funny, Erica and Heidi, like I'm like, oh, I'm not the early bird, but I'm not a night owl. What am I? Well, Dr. Bruce breaks it up into four different parts of these chronotypes, which is just pretty interesting. And I think we all have like little bits of them, but primarily if you can work with it versus against it, you're gonna be like, ah, I feel so much better. Why have I been fighting this my whole life? I definitely know that when I did my genetics with Heidi, and she's like, oh, interesting, Kellie, you have the clock gene. And that gene just says is you need more rest and recovery than the average person. I'm like, no wonder why I love sleeping 9 hours a night. Like my body just needs a little more rest and recovery. Perfect. Thank you. It all makes sense. So before we do the quiz, you guys, I want to talk about some stages of sleep. When we talk about this 8 hours of sleep, it is not 8 hours in stage one or 8 hours in stage two, but we go through a cycle. Each and every one of us is slightly different. On average, this sleep cycle of going through stages one through four is a 90-minute cycle. There are some of us that go through the cycle fast and it's only about 75 minutes. There are others of us that it's longer and it's almost 2 hours of this cycle. You have probably felt times in your life that you're in bed and you're a little bit more awake, just a little bit more aware, but you didn't really wake up, but you're a little bit aware and then you go right back to sleep. That's your transition of your sleep cycle. Extremely normal. Therefore, depending if your cycle is 75 minutes, 90 minutes, 2 hours, whatever that may be for you, most of us go through about 4 to 5 cycles of this a night. Okay. I'm sure, have you guys ever like gotten woken up startled in the middle of the night and you feel like what has happened? Where am I? Like you can almost barely stand up. You're just like, what? Chances are you got woken up in the middle of either your deep sleep stage 3 or your sleep stage 4. The REM sleep, right, is that rapid eye movement where we have all this dreaming. It's and so therefore we are literally dead asleep. And that's when the body is repairing and recovering. When I've been woken up in that, for me, I'll like say the kids have needed me, like they were younger, and I hear them, calling out in the middle of the night. I'll get up as an automatic response, and I've literally like fallen down, passed up, couldn't get up, because my body still thought I was in the middle of this deep sleep. It will prevent you from moving if you're in REM sleep, and it takes my body a minute. And I thought something was wrong with me. It wasn't blood pressure. It's because I was literally in a REM sleep stage and it took my body a bit to get out of it. So it's interesting and normal. So stage one, just a quick review, right? It's that very light sleepiness. Many of us feel that like in the evening, we're on the couch, something that you start to, even if you're in bed, you just are like, ah, right? Stage two is the slightly deeper sleep, but you're easily awoken. So somebody nudges you and you're like, oh, I'm not sleeping, I'm awake. Right? It's that light sleep. Or you're in bed and you're light sleeping and your husband starts snoring before you hit stage three and you're like, oh, here we go again. That's your light sleep. We spend a lot of time in that. The goal is less time in stage two, more time in stage 3 and 4. What you do for your nighttime routine and your morning routine, right? It's all works together, will prep you for deeper sleep in stage 3 and 4. That's that's why people wear Aura rings. That's why it's all this talk about what's your data? Are you monitoring your sleep? You want to have that sleep. We're going to pair our results with your circadian rhythm. Morning routine starts that biological clock. We talked a lot about this yesterday. Your hormones, your melatonin, your nighttime, right? Putting us to sleep into your serotonin, having your neurotransmitters like, let's go. Sunlight's your body's natural timekeeper. So we should be getting up. We just had the time change. So hopefully for all of you, it's a little easier to be getting up in the morning right now because that sun's coming in. But we're going to use both your chronotype and the circadian rhythm to really say, let's work together. Yeah, Laura was saying, right, when what stage or between what stage when you suddenly jump? That is probably going to be when you're going from 2 to 3. Light sit, like your light sleep, because once you're in your next one, you're like deep asleep. So someone tries to wake you out of that next stage 3, you're like, what? Huh? Huh? You're not jumping. All right. Before we do our quiz, just a couple things. I love the fact that I had all of this done and it piggybacks off of a little bit of the information Chloe was talking about yesterday is, helping us with our sleep is things like magnesium and eating foods rich in magnesium, getting your vitamin D. We've got to have that sunshine, and it's better to get vitamin D from the sun versus take our vitamin D. So get out, find where most sunlight exposure in wherever you live. You can track all of that. Get as much as your body exposed to sunlight as possible. In the mornings, get your eyes, don't wear your glasses, let your eyes get the sunlight. That whole rhythm is what is important to keep moving forward. Briefly, a little bit about caffeine, stress, L-theanine, and adenosine is we talked a little bit about caffeine yesterday. I'm going to jump all the way down to adenosine to start. Many of you guys are like, I've not heard of adenosine. What is adenosine? So, adenosine is a molecule that starts as we are getting closer to the time of nighttime. So, not like 6 or 7 o'clock, but now we're talking about that 8 and 9 o'clock, okay? And it starts nudging us like, hey, hey, it's time to go to sleep. And it needs to find its receptors to lock in. And that's going to help us go to sleep. Okay. So you've probably been on the couch and you've had heavy eyes, things like that, right? It's all of a sudden like, oh, my lights are going out. I'm feeling tired. Adenosine is locking in. If you've had too much caffeine in your system, caffeine looks just like the molecule of adenosine, and caffeine locks in those. So when adenosine's trying to come in and go, hey, hey, it's time to go to sleep, they're like, that's weird. There's no places to land. There's no receptors for me because caffeine is taking it all up. So that like feeling sleepy, getting tired, when people go, I'm just not tired at night. Well, maybe you're blocking all those receptors because you have caffeine. So, like Heidi said yesterday, when we do genetics, it's important to know, do you metabolize caffeine slow or fast? No matter if you do or don't, because of the long half-life, no matter all of us, like 2 p.m., caffeine curfew, ladies, right? Like, that's just it. The one thing with caffeine I do want to say, there are some drinks out there, and like there's one drink that I was just drinking in here. It has caffeine in it, but the caffeine is made from a green tea source, and the drink is paired with L-theanine in the drink. So instead of taking a supplement of L-theanine, again, Chloe was referring to this yesterday. L-theanine is the smooth mood booster, calming effect, flow effect, not a sleepy effect, but just like a feel-good flow. When you pair L-theanine and caffeine together, you get this beautiful alert focus without the, whoa, my God, I'm feeling like hyped on caffeine, or without feeling like low, sluggish flow. It's this beautiful balance, which keeps the stress away that sometimes caffeine can give you in this kind of combination. So it's a drink called Axio. Again, we can drop that in and refer it. It's if you can find there's some other drinks out there that are really nootropics, but you want to really look for something that has a lot of balance. And L-theanine is just a beautiful way to help pair caffeine. But again, be very, very careful with caffeine and not, feeling sleepy at night. Okay, before we create our sleep plan, more importantly today, you guys, we're going to go through here and take our quiz. So if you're in a place that you can't take a quiz right now, that's okay. I'm going to give you the link. I'm going to put the link in the chat. And if you want to pull this up like on the side, on another phone, on another device, you certainly can. I'm going to pull it up and then you can, if you want to pull it up with me, pull it up with me, do it yourself, but I'll have it on my screen so you can see it if you can't do it right now. But let me copy the link. Let me go throw it in the chat for everybody. Dun, 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 dun. So this is a quiz from Dr. Michael Bruce, and it should take you, honestly, like don't think too hard about the questions, and it'll take you 5 minutes. Let me just pull it up, and I'll just kind of walk you through it, and you can do it on the side with me, or just do it later. But it's kind of fun. All right, let me go back to share screens. As I'm doing this, anybody have any other questions? You can either unmute anything at all. We good? Okay. So this is the website that you'll go to, and we're going to say, take the quiz. Ah, what? I did not, I don't know. Apparently, he's going to sell you a bed at the end of it. We don't need to, we don't need to buy a bed. Let's go back to home. Let's go back here. Where was that quiz? And go back here. Here we go. Okay. Take the chrono quiz. So this is how easy and fast it is, right? You guys, on a scale of 1 to 5, how disruptive is your sleep quality at night? I'm gonna say mine's a 2. Could be a 1, but it's a little bit disruptive, I will have to say. How long have you been experiencing poor sleep quality? I don't feel like, definitely not my whole life. Like I'm gonna say weeks, right? Not that long. On average, how many hours of sleep do you get? I usually get 8. On average, how many drink caffeine beverages in the afternoon? Occasionally. So I'm just gonna flip through this, right? This is just kind of fun. How often do you have trouble falling asleep? Occasionally. Having trouble staying asleep? Occasionally. Do you have any sleep apnea? No. On a scale, do you feel stressed? Not at all. How often your sleep schedule irregular due to work? Okay, occasionally. I can't say never. Never is hard. Restless leg syndrome? No. Do you snore? No. Are you frequently told that you gasp for air? No. How often does being too warm disrupt your sleep? Occasionally, yes. How often do you experience pain during your sleep? My hands actually sometimes wake me up pain. I'm gonna say occasionally. Elements, yeah. My partner and pets. Yes. How old is your mattress? I think it's about 5 or 6 years old. I'm a light sleeper. I don't really actually think so. False. I usually wake up before my alarm rings. Mm, Sometimes, but I'm gonna say false because probably not more than 50%. I'm often irritable due to fatigue. No. I worry about small details. No. My thoughts keep me up at night. No. What time would be your ideal wake up time if you didn't have any obligations? Okay, between 6:30 and 9. Um, I I mean, if I snooze, it's because I'm actually doing a meditation. I'm not snoozing to go back to sleep. When do you wake up on the weekends? Oh, and just so you guys know, some people are like, "Oh, let me just snooze and sleep a little more." Because our bodies have that 90-minute sleep cycle. If you snooze that 10 minutes that you keep re-snoozing, you're actually only in stage 1 or stage 2 of sleep. So you're not getting any deeper restorative sleep. So it's actually not doing you any good if you think you just need more sleep. Change your alarm. If I stay in bed, it's because I'm meditating or thinking of like doing a little gratitude, or sometimes I'm just awake and like, oh, I'm just cuddling for a few minutes, right? It's not to go back to sleep. So just think about that. It's actually not helpful. When do you wake up on the weekends? Really relatively the same time or within kind of the same time. Yeah, I'm gonna say the same time. Favorite time of meal? I actually, dinner is really my favorite, probably. If I could take back to high school, take a big exam. When would you prefer to take your test? Not first thing in the morning, early afternoon, midday, probably. When are you the most alert? Uh, I say I'm most alert, you guys, 4 to 6 hours after waking. I kind of get in my groove. Um, what if you could choose your own 5-hour workday? You know what my block would be? 12 to 6. 12 to 6 is my jam. I'm going to say 9 to 2 because it's definitely not later. I make healthy choices. I take risks. Do you consider yourself future oriented? Yeah. I took this test before you guys yesterday, so I kind of know. So I'm trying to speed through this quickly so you guys can see all this. Would you describe yourself appetite within half an hour waking? Very hungry, hungry. No, I eat because I know I need to eat, but I'm not hungry. 50, female. We got to put this in. I'm not, yeah, I'm 5'4". I'll just type in, I weigh 120. All right, here we go. Dun, dun, dun. Let's see what it spits out. Are you guys doing this with me? Anybody have a phone or something they're also like doing it? It's kind of fun. But today, yesterday when I took it, my results popped up like this. And I had the same results that when I took this thing like 10 years ago. Of course, now it's like gonna buffer for forever. And that would be hilarious if it gave me a different result. Every time I've taken it, it tells me I'm a bear. But what's interesting is after they say what it is, he gives you tons of resources. And there's like this 80-page guide for each of you that they give you all about everything that we've talked about. And he does go into, I mean, he's not selling you stuff, right? But like the best mattresses and why, the best sheets and why, the best this and why. So it is kind of helpful. This is hilarious. And of course, this live screen sharing and everything, it doesn't want to give you the results. Come on. Come on, everybody. All right. Did anybody do this with me? Anybody take it along with me that discovered there's something? I'm looking in the chat or just literally feel free to unmute, ladies. Laura did it. Laura's a dolphin. And unless you already did it before, I'm not sure. And you had a sleep score of, so it's interesting the sleep score, right? My sleep score was like 70 something as well. I don't exactly remember. And you're a dolphin. Okay. All right. Well, apparently I'm not going to get my results. Let me just see if I can refresh if it goes. No, I kicked me out of it. I probably have to retake it all over again. That's okay. A bear. Okay. Yeah, one of mine. Okay. I'm going to unshare now. So if you can take your results from your chronotype, and obviously we all need to somewhat work with the circadian rhythm, right, of the world, but there are people who literally are the classical night owl per se that have to kind of figure their life out a little bit, that it doesn't quite go with everything like everybody else. And that is the beautiful thing, honestly, about being an entrepreneur is you can build your work into your chronotype. When we're working for the world and everybody's stuck on the same 8 to 5, 9 to 5, you're being forced to work when it might not be optimal. Like you might not get your creative juices flowing at 8 a.m. in the morning. Maybe you literally get your best ideas at 6 o'clock at night or even 10 o'clock at night. So Dave Asprey says like he does his writing his books and things late at night. Like that's when he's just in his, the prime of his focus and concentration. So kind of fun, kind of interesting. I wanted you guys to take that. And I also want you to have all the resources that he gives you, which is just nice. So don't fight your sleep, but you do need to say, oh my gosh, I need to make sleep a priority. I really need to make sleep a priority. So with that, you guys, I just want to show, I'm going to I think there's just 2 slides, but this is what I want to share with you. Let me close and then we're going to open it up to all fun questions. Sleep, talking about sleep, the bed, sex, I don't know, anything that you guys want to talk about. But these last 2 slides is just like, I had some, I could have gone either way in my health and in my life. And I always like to be honest and share. I'll go back to full mode. So after I had my last baby, for those of you that know the order of all my kiddos, this was Claire. Yeah, she was born with dark hair, right? But this is me. And my whole family is overweight. I'm the only one that's not overweight in my almost my entire family. And I knew at this point I could go down the road of health of my family, or I needed to start making some changes because I was starting to gain weight. I knew my eating, my sleeping habits weren't great. I was a new mom. Okay. This in the corner, if you guys can see, this is my grandfather that I always talk about golf. He lived to 91. He played golf till he was 90 and he could shoot his age. He could shoot 90 at 90. It's my mom's dad. I love him so much. Anyways, I was so grateful that he got to meet Claire as a teeny tiny one and he passed shortly thereafter. But I tell you this because now I need to say 20 years because Claire is 20, but 17 years later, like I had made this decision to change my life. And this was about maybe 12 years later from that standpoint, 10 or 12 years later. I have Prim here. So Prim is 10, so kind of doing some of the math. But this last picture I want to show you guys is this is me 2 years ago. So this is me at 49 thinking, what could have my life been like? And I made a really clear decision. But I'm asking you guys today, what's your clear decision? And this is when my brother just goes, "Oh, you are the lucky one. You must have got the good genes." Well, Heidi can attest to me and to everybody there that I have horrible genes, but I made a decision to take control of my health. And I want that for you guys. Your sleep habits, it is your number one indicator for your wellness and ultimately your longevity. So we're teaching you a lot in these past 2 days, tomorrow as well, for those of you that are with us in VIP. But I want you to say, I could change it's not too late. I can change my sleep habits today now. So when I future cast to my next 20 years, what do I want my life to look like? What do I want it to be for my overall health and wellness? So you guys, I hope this was helpful, like always. And it just kind of says like, oh God, sleep is easy. Why don't I taking more advantage of my biology and physiology with just prioritizing my sleep if it's really just that easy? So without further ado, questions. Heidi, I'm going to bring you back.